Hello, my name is Jacob Nolan, and I'm a kinesiologist and the founder of a wellness modality called Flow Health. Today, I would like to talk to you about how Flow Health works with augmenting the current addiction therapies. All right, I would like to present to you some knowledge that helps with combating addiction. Just how we can come to new conclusions in science when we obtain new knowledge. It is time to discover more healthy ways to deal with stress and life. I will try to give you an idea of how everything works together to help augment the current most used modalities that combat addiction. Flow Health is dedicated to wellness in its design. It doesn't pattern current addiction therapies, but augments them. I will work to communicate a picture to help everyone benefit from this philosophy. All right, well, how Flow Health works with addiction. This is the video that is probably the second most important one besides the introduction. All right, also I'd like to dedicate this video to the many people who've lost their lives through addictions. So how I would like to help society in general with my own method of wellness is Flow Health will start with an honest assessment of where you're at on a line with an arrow that goes up and an arrow that goes down. At the very bottom is addiction, so we will refer people out so they can get the tools that they need that are necessary for you to come back as a potential client and see me in distress, which creates disease, and we can talk about the alchemy of stress to get that into wellness, assessing yourself into wellness, and then at the very top is performance. All right, after that honest assessment, I'd like to say that let's get into the addiction part. All right, a lot of people have trouble talking about addiction, and it's a very sensitive subject about where I live because people like to party here. So without trying to make anybody feel uncomfortable, I'd like to say that Flow Health makes it easy for somebody to come and get help with addiction and escapism that a lot of people go into when they are not fully integrated with their shadow and the love that they should have for themselves. Self-love, self-kindness, self-care, all those things are very important when we're talking about becoming a successful, well-rounded individual. All right, so some of the current addiction facts might be a little bit skewed, but I want to say that some places on the internet say that about 70,000 drug overdose deaths occur in the U.S. annually. All right, and we also know that 75% of the heroin comes from the poppy that are coming out of Afghanistan. And also, we also have a new fentanyl problem coming out from our border that's unsecured. Massive amounts of fentanyl are coming in. So that's a big problem because opiates happen to be the number one of the most ways that people become an OD statistic. All right, so with that, I do want to say that using flow is my main way of getting people out of their mind and into a new set of programming when it comes to their brain. All right, so addiction is referred to as a brain disorder characterized by compulsive engagement in rewarding stimuli despite adverse effects and consequences. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about today. The adverse part. So me personally, I believe that human beings are in a way beings that have infinite potential, and I want to say that it is kind of an old way of thinking if you are constantly saying I am something like an addict, like the current modalities use. I think that you can be anything that you want to be as long as you can take care of how to program your brain. And there are many ways to do this. There's a lot of science based on reprogramming your brain out of addiction. So there's plenty of help out there. Also, I'd like to say that one of the main people and current most helpful modalities of healing and through addiction is the AA 12-step model. And the founder of that, Dr. Bob Wilson, he believed that psychedelics could create the necessary spiritual experience that could help somebody with chronic alcohol problems achieve great recovery. Also, another thing that I want to talk about is the rats addicted to the cocaine experiment. So rats were placed in a cage and they were giving a bottle of water and a bottle of cocaine or heroin. And in that cage, those are the only two things that they could choose. So most of the rats would choose the heroin or the coke until they were addicted and overdose. Right, those same rats or additional rats were placed in a cage with the same two bottles, water or water, cocaine, and heroin, and it was a stimulant-rich environment. So they were less likely to use the cocaine and heroin bottle, but even if they did use it, they would use it sparingly. All right, so this is where Flow Health comes in with the club Flow Health that I'm also trying to introduce as I present this. So Club Flow Health is kind of like the solution to a non-stimulant rich environment without a lot of connections on a high flow level awareness activity spot. That is non-alcohol centric. So that is what I'm trying to build on top of all this. So that's why the addiction video was my second most important video. All right, let's see. I can get into what Club Flow Health is going to be like later on, but I just want to say how at each level of the triangle that has a triangle at each end, each single one can help with addiction. All right, and I just want to go quickly through the list and explain that. This is going to be, I'm trying to make this not a long video. So one of the things I want to talk about is at the very top you have the activation of the mind, the body, and the spirit, right? So the mind is where we're going to talk about stress reduction, kind of taking out that voice if you have had trauma or something affect you where you have negative self-talk. We can go into mindfulness and how that is channeled and explored through one's identity. All right, and so we want a healthy identity. All right, and the mind's going to help us create that, right? And that's where a lot of the hacking is going to go on. So then we go to the body. All right, the body is interesting because I think that Flow Health starts with exercise and an active lifestyle. All right, not only on top of that, but a body in motion stays in motion. So we're talking about over time continuing to stay healthy and active and fit is going to combat addiction, right? Because you'll become more disciplined and hopefully you'll have found more people that are into that type of lifestyle as well. A more positive, growth-minded lifestyle compared to a fixed mindset and a victim mindset. All right. So the spirit is another one. So the spirit connects you with your passion and your purpose, all right? And that is the key to kind of help you realize that escapism and methods of escapism, no matter what it is, eating, drugs, alcohol, that your spirit and your passion and your purpose are going to be what's going to really keep you from wanting to use or escape, right? Like what I'm doing now is more important to me than partying, period. All right, so if I can continue, the next part of the triangle is the diet, exercise, and stress recycling realm. Exercise gives you discipline, strength, time for self-improvement. Your diet and your gut is where serotonin is made, your happy feel-good chemicals. There's very high importance placed on the gut biome for overall general health as well. Let's see. Then stress recycling, I think that's the greatest indicator of happiness. What I'd like to also say is that involves people sometimes, even communicating with people that will help raise the level of happiness that you experience in your life. All right, so that's what is also bringing that loss of connection to connection with people who are interested in upgrading their life in healthy ways. All right, so then we have the other muse portion. So activation of mind, body, spirit with the use of tools of diet, exercise, and stress recycling. And then we go to the muse of music, art, and healthy competitive athletics. All right, so art is a creative process that can be external or internal. All right, we need creativity in our life to be well and healthy. Right, so also music, these are going to be really short. I can go into them longer if need be, and I'll make some more videos on how each one individually stands and how they collectively work together to create this wonderful modality of wellness and performance and healing for you, the potential client. All right, so back to healthy competitive athletics. I think that it keeps people motivated, and it helps friends push friends, and it keeps people accountable, right? It makes life a little bit more fun. I wanted to keep this video short and just kind of give you an example of what also went into thinking about how all these things work together for wellness, fitness, performance oriented lifestyle changes. Me personally, I think that I've gone through every situation that you can possibly think about. It's kind of hard to talk about coming from a household where you had a narcissistic parent and they chose you as a scapegoat. I think that a lot of my experience meant that I was bound to feel disconnected and to turn to substance abuse so that I could have something quell these thoughts in my mind, this negative self-talk. And one of the awesome things about flow that really helps with the self-talk is, I believe, some of the components even of flow help with the negative impact of trauma. And some of the things that you experience when you get into flow is intense and focused concentration on the present moment. All right, so a lot of those negative thoughts disappear and your concentration gets into the present moment, which is very important, even in consciousness and the study of consciousness. All right, so they merge action and awareness, because action is very important if you get bogged down with stressful situations. All right, you have a loss of reflective self-consciousness, so you're not thinking about yourself in demeaning ways, disrespectful ways. You can actually learn a new skill and become more motivated and intrinsically motivated to perform better, right? And so this is another reason why I believe it works with addiction so well. All right, so you have a sense of personal control and agency over the situation or activity. A lot of people get anxiety over loss of control. Now you are in a present moment, you're experiencing control, loss of the ability to hear negative self-talk. I think the distortion of time is experienced, so you're no longer have to carry this burden. The burden is lifted, and you don't even feel it anymore for time-dilated experience. Also, I think that immediate feedback is necessary to experience flow. You have the feeling of the potential to succeed, and that you're so engrossed in the experience that other needs become negligible. I think this is very important when you're combating addiction, to get out of that worrisome state and to get into a flow state. And I think that's what helped me the most learn about myself to combat the trauma that I experienced in this life. One of the best ways that I like to think about it, so flow is a sweet spot between skill and knowledge and challenge, right? And so you only have to go a little bit over to push yourself when it comes to finding that flow again. So if there was a graph over time, skill and knowledge and challenge keep meeting for flow states. You have to get more skill and knowledge. After you acquire that, you have to gain more challenge. And so over a graph, your skill and knowledge keep going up, and so does the challenge. So over time, I see people develop into new people, just like when dopamine hits you and you start something new and you suck at it, what that dopamine is doing is allowing for pattern recognition to take place, right? And once you have so much pattern recognition, your brain can compartmentalize what you're doing so that you can become better. And I think flow is an integral part of this learning experience and this growing experience. And that's what I want to be here to help people understand and watch them go through, to watch growth happen and a state of consciousness develop that was higher than the level previously experienced. So that was part of my spiel, my story, and I just want to say that one of the most potent things that I experienced was the story of music and these two musical geniuses. One of them went and did heroin and he had terrible health and passed away. And another one, musical legend, he ended up doing heroin and then going through a recovery. The same as me, I went through a drug rehabilitation treatment court program for veterans and became very knowledgeable about what some of the treatments were when it came to addiction therapy and what you would experience going through addiction and treatment and how both of them work for you to have like a good life, right? And so even though I do believe drug use is valid, I believe that they're tools that you need in order to stave off the addiction behavior, that patterns that come with seeking escapism. So this is just pretty much a quick video, a rundown. I tried to make it as quickly as possible. I appreciate your time letting me share my passion with you, and I hope everyone can take some of this information and learn to use it to help themselves become better in their growth mindset and to help them focus on having a better life for themselves. And that's all I care about. All right, thank you for your time again and have a great and wonderful evening. My name is Jacob and I hope you all prosper in so many different ways. It's ridiculous. And come to me and let's have some fun with some flow and some health, getting our health back in. All right, thank you all again. Appreciate it. Bye.